What's up, guys? Welcome to our second episode of the Wheel of Movies. This is episode number 2. We decided that instead of spinning the wheel, that this time because that will be the normal thing, but we got an Indiana Jones movie coming up. We got someone on our panel that hasn't seen all the Indiana Jones, so we decided what more of a perfect time to rewatch and revisit and do a little deep dive into some of these Indiana Jones movies than right now. So welcome. Tonight we'll be covering Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. We'll just do them in order. And I'm your host, Jordan, the movie hero Anderson. And I'm excited to talk about this movie. That's a good movie. Damn it. It is a good movie. And screw all the haters out there, because this movie is awesome. And I'll stand by that. And I'll defend it against anyone who wants to come at me, because there's not very many negatives to this movie, especially after rewatching it. But I'll just get into some general kind of information, and then I'll introduce our guests. But Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, it was released on May 8th, 1984. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. It was written by Lawrence Kasdan, who, if you're not familiar with him, he wrote a lot of Star Wars movies. And it's produced by Robert Watts, who along with the Temple of Doom, he produced Last Crusade, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and An American Tale, Fievel Goes West. And this movie is actually a prequel. It's set 1 year before the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's set in 1935. So, technically it's a prequel. But, so there's just a few kind of general things. But we'll get our panel in here. We'll get their thoughts, and we'll get into it. So we'll start with Mr. Austin Pez Howell. What's up, Austin?
What's going on? Yeah, talking about the second installment of a trilogy I've seen 1,000 times, and a very unique entry in the series that has a lot of horror elements. So I liked it a lot growing up.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then we'll get into we'll bring in the person who just watched it for the first time, and we'll get his thoughts here. We got Richie at Goodacre.
What's up, Richie? Yeah, me with a weird background. Got tennis in the background. But I watched for the first time, and I'll get into all specifics. But I like it. It was fun.
It's good to hear that you like it. I was wondering if you're going to like it or not, because there's a lot of people out there that don't love this movie. Like when I was talking about that I was rewatching it, I got a lot of comments that people were saying that's a terrible movie. That movie sucks, and I'm like, what?
It's not terrible.
What? I don't know what movie you watched.
Or people being like, Crystal Skull is better. I'm like, you're out of your goddamn minds.
You're
out of your mind.
Yeah, they're actually saying that. So I'm not going to call anybody out, but there was a specific person that was really high on Crystal Skull in my comments. So but if you want to see who that is, go to my Facebook page and you can see the conversation. But so we'll just get into it. So maybe I'll just see. So when was your guys' first time that you watched this movie? So Richie, obviously you watched it like yesterday, right?
Yeah, I watched it yesterday.
Yeah. But how about you, Austin? When did you first watch Temple
around the same time I watched all the other ones, just on VHS. I don't have a specific memory with any of these movies. It's just, whenever I had those videotapes, and then would see it on TV or whatever. But this was always an interesting one, because it feels like it doesn't feel like the other two. As Richie will see when he sees Last Crusade, Raiders and Last Crusade kind of feel similar, and this one feels like it's still Indiana Jones, but it's just it's a different vibe, like overall. Because it gets, it has some sillier stuff, but also some really dark stuff, as you go through the movie. So, but I still really like it. I think there's some great set pieces. I think there's some phenomenal actual physical sets. I think the last 40 or 45 minutes of this movie is some of the best action that Steven Spielberg has ever filmed, and I'll stand by that. I like Short Round. He's a good sidekick. So Willie Scott,
I like him too.
He's annoying at first, but I think I kind of warm up to her throughout the movie, because I think she calms down a little bit, and she kind of shows a little bit of spine, like later in the movie. So, you know, you know, Steven Spielberg's more infatuated with her than I am, obviously, because he would go on to marry her and have like 6 kids with her. But you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, like I'll just go ahead and spoil it. That's my one negative of this movie is just Kate Capshaw. Like I just find that character completely annoying and just like just dumb. Like I don't know. Like you have Karen Allen in the first one. She's freaking great and freaking awesome. And I know that they wanted to have Karen Allen. I don't know like why they didn't. If there's a reason or a story behind
because
that.
It's a prequel. It wouldn't make any goddamn sense because he hasn't seen her in like 10 years. So why would it make sense that he sees her?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because no sense story.
In the first one, doesn't he say that they hadn't seen each other in a long time? Yeah, so that I guess
that would make zero sense.
So,
I don't mind her as she's literally an opposite in that she is kind of the damsel in distress.
Yeah,
so it's an opposite dynamic. So I don't mind it as a contrast.
I made the mistake of like, I mean, last episode I was like, oh yeah, Karen Allen, is like a, the classic damsel in distress. Like, no, this Willie is a damsel in distress. She is. If I had to put like put it down a peg, it is her character. She's very screechy and annoying. She calms down a little bit, and then I think there's one part where she actually does get like the only time where she's on the gold rush, like the coal train thing, and then like she does punch and I'm like, oh cool, fine. She got some, she actually did something other than scream and yell. I mean, and a little we'll get into it, but the music, the opening musical number is pretty fun too. But at the start, it's just good. That was cool, and she was part of that. But yeah, I found her quite. If you took her out of it, and it was just him in Short Round, I was like, oh, that'd be good. But
yeah, you almost kind of need to have some kind of damsel in distress in these movies. I mean, you don't necessarily have to. It's not like a deal breaker for me. I still have fun without it, but it kind of is a thing in these movies. So.
Well, and then they do a whole different dynamic. I like that all 3 of these movies have a different dynamic with the female because as Richie will see, I guess I won't spoil too much about Elsa in the in Last Crusade, but she's a very different dynamic in that she starts as one thing and kind of ends up another thing. So all 3 have a different characteristics of sort of the female, protagonist. So that's why I don't necessarily mind it. When I watch this movie, it's a different thing than Marion and Elsa. So like I'm fine with it for the most part. And it gives Indy something to do. I mean, he gets to rescue somebody, and Short Round I think is fun. I like Ki Kwan. And I think he's a fun little sidekick for what he is. I mean, he's brave. He's an ass kicker. He's a little
he's an ass kicker. He's not like the dude that you need to save all the time. He actually can hold his own. And there might be a stereotype in there, the fact that he's Asian and can fight, but still.
He's like throwing like roundhouse kicks and side kicks and all that kind of stuff, and like kind of doing karate or whatever. But like I mean, all that stuff where he like breaks out of his chains and he's like climbing the ladders and he's like swinging all over the place and escaping. Like he's a little badass. Like I'll always defend him around. Like he basically saves Indy. Like he saves Indy and then helps everybody like do their thing. So I'll defend him all day, man.
Yeah.
And even in the beginning when he's like driving the car, that's a fun scene, and then somehow he like throws it. Indy's gun out the window or something.
Willie does because
Willie. That's right.
She burnt her fingers and she cracked a nail.
Yeah,
and lost the gun. Where's my gun? But I mean, let's get into it. So like we'll kind of start with that. Let's kind of go through the movie a little bit with that opening. And if that opening looks interesting, it's because Spielberg. This is a behind the scenes thing. When he was originally going to do Raiders, he was talking to George Lucas that he wanted to do a Bond movie. And then so they get to this thing and the opening is literally like a Bond opening. I mean, it's literally Indiana Jones in like a white tuxedo, in like an exotic location, fighting, going against kind of a super villain with a bunch of henchmen, around him. I mean, it's literally like a Bond opening. I mean,
and you have the musical number at the start. You're like,
the musical number to start, the credits and everything. Yeah, it's a total Bond opening of Spielberg.
Yeah, Spielberg should do a Bond movie. I think that'd be awesome. Imagine like John Williams scoring a Bond movie and then doing it with Spielberg. That'd be freaking great.
It might have already passed. He wanted to do one like back in the day, and like I don't know if he'd be interested in it now. Like now that he's getting up near almost 80 now too. So
yeah,
it's like I don't he probably would have been down to do it 30, 40 years ago, when he was a younger man. But yeah.
I feel like he was gonna do it. He would have done it by now. But yeah, he would have done maybe the Timothy Dalton or Roger Moore ones or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think he would. Yeah, like I think the time sort of has passed, and he's sort of doing more. Yeah, as you can see, his sort of career trajectory now. He's sort of doing more lower scale stuff. Like with the Post and like over the Fablemans, and yeah, I don't know if I don't know if he's has any plans to do like sort of big, large scale stuff. Or maybe it will, but yeah, it doesn't seem to be.
When he's not even doing the latest Indiana Jones movie, I think that's an indicator of like this type of stuff he's more interested in now as an older fan. And I don't blame him. Like there's only crazy people like. You have crazy people like George Miller who's still doing like Mad Max Fury Road in his 70s,
and James Cameron who's mapping out all these Avatar movies and stuff,
right? So like 2031 now because they delayed everything. But you have crazy people like that. But yeah,
well, one of the things I want to just point out really quick, so this is a movie that inspired the PG-13 rating. Like it's only rated PG, but this movie had its goofy moments, but it also gets pretty bloody and like violent and dark. I think right after like they started bringing out a PG-13 movie, the first one a PG-13 movie ever was Red Dawn, but I mean this is one that inspired that. They're like maybe this could have been rated PG-13. It's not quite like a PG movie that like it scared me as a kid, like for sure. So
when a guy's getting his heart ripped out and the dude who ripped the heart is like chanting while it's on fire and laughing maniacally, it's like this isn't quite like a kids movie.
That was gnarly. I'm like, holy hell, this is a PG movie. Movie. Holy shit! And then it reminded me. Wasn't there a Hot Fuzz joke where the dude asked, "Can you rip someone's heart out?" Or there's some joke where that someone asked. I don't know if it's a Hot Fuzz, but someone just earnestly asked, "Okay, is there a part where you can rip the person's heart out, like Indiana Jones
and still be alive?" Yeah.
But going back to the opening scene, like I have a lot of fun with it. I mean, it's like he gets slipped the poison, and then the guy like Shaolei or something
Lao She.
He has the antidote, so he has to get into the whole thing. Like he's trying to grab it, but he just can't do it because he's being kicked around the room, and then there's a diamond going one way and the antidote going the other way, and it's mass chaos, So he's trying to get it. So but it's fun. I have fun with it. So
I mean, it starts out as a simple thing of the back and forth. Give me the Nurhachi, and give me the diamond, the back and forth stuff, and then the dynamic changes with the poison, but then his buddy Wuhan, who we never really meet, but we almost kind of have sympathy for, despite him having like 2 lines in the movie and not much backstory. It's like this guy, his buddy gets killed, and then and then you get this big fight and this chaos in this club. And I think my favorite part of the scene, I'll just say, is the dude with the Tommy gun just laughing maniacally and having a blast shooting that Tommy gun is one of my favorite parts. Just as he's shooting it, it's really great. Like everybody seems like
it reminds you of the guy from Home Alone when he's watching that like video and he's shooting the like Tommy gun. He's like
no, it's
or like the mask when he's doing the video, the making the balloons. Tommy gun.
Tommy gun.
Right.
To be fair, Tommy guns look like they're pretty fun to fire, to be honest. So so maybe they are fun.
Right.
It did it like I noticed like the scene, like how they're trying to get the poison, and but all the people around just keep kicking it, around, But obviously that scene inspired a lot of those, because you do see like a lot of scenes in movies where like they're looking for something and then like it's in a crowd of people and they keep kicking. I've seen that a few times in movies now.
That's kind of like a thing.
Sometimes looking for something in a crowd of people and then it kicks up. It gets kicked over that side and then it gets kicked over that side. Yeah. So
totally.
And I was going through the cast list for the movie, and I noticed Dan Aykroyd was listed in there. So I guess he plays like right after when they're trying to escape. They're like I'm going to get on an airplane, and he plays a guy. His name's Weber. He's like Dr. Jones. It's like, I'm Weber. I spoke to your assistant. We managed to secure 3 seats, but there might be a slight inconvenience as you will be riding on a cargo full of live poultry or something.
Oh, that was Dan Aykroyd.
That's
Dan Aykroyd, kind of weird. Yeah.
He's got glasses on and kind of like a weird like jungle outfit on, but yeah, it's Dan Aykroyd, and he was like buddies with Spielberg, so they just like threw him in the movie, like he was around. They did that, but kind of weird. No, that scene has a fun little twist when he like one of my favorite cuts of the movie when he's like, "Nice try, Lao She," and he closes the door and it's Lao She, like freight airline. Like all that stuff was a great like little twist, and that would be where all these movies are based on the classic serials of the 30s, where they all ended on a cliffhanger. Like that would be cliffhanger number 1, where he closes the door and it's Lao She Airlines. Oh no, like what's it gonna do? And we come back next week and it's the airplane adventure and we follow the thing. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Like that's you can see all the breaks in the movie with that. But maybe the most ridiculous scene of the movie, if we're being honest, with them jumping out of the airplane on an inflatable raft, like that's a little silly.
Honestly, I think maybe if I watched it, back way back when, I'll be like, oh, that's ridiculous. But because I've watched all these like Fast and the Furious movies,
that's true. Maybe it's a little more.
And I'm just like, whatever. My threshold for ridiculousness is way up high now.
Yeah. When they're little dropping cars out of planes with parachutes and steering stuff and
Remember the scene, if you remember that Mr. Magoo movie with Leslie Nielsen. He does that thing where he jumps out of a plane with an inflatable raft, but he has it upside down. He's using it as like a parachute to float down or something. I'm like, weird. It's another ridiculous thing.
I do like that they're in they go on a raft in the canoe, and then Kate Capshaw like, oh, where Willie's like, where are we? And then they just spot a dude, brown dude. They're like, oh, we're in India. Just because he spotted a brown dude with a turban on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was right. So I mean,
he was right. So yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, if he's right, is it really a stairs? I don't know. I mean, he's correct.
Yeah. Right.
But no, I mean, that guy, just a little, tidbit about that dude, kind of the village, chief, whatever you want to call him, because I don't know if he has a name, but kind of the village leader dude. He didn't speak a lick of English, lick of English. And his every line delivery he does was literally just him mimicking Steven Spielberg off screen.
Okay.
So Steven Spielberg would say, now you can see the magic of the rock. You take that, and he would just say that. That's why there's those little pauses. So he's just listening to Spielberg and just imitating it. So it'd be like if you were just imitating somebody speaking a foreign language and just mimicking it, essentially. But I think it works. Like that dude's awesome. Like he has a lot of power in his, when he's doing the monologue about, what happened to the village and stuff. Like I think he's pretty good, like for what it is. So it works.
Yeah. And that whole raft scene, to be fair, I don't even think that pales into ridiculous as nuking the fridge from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous there. So they got ridiculousness all over these movies. So.
At least the raft ends up in water.
Yeah, right.
They fall off a cliff and it ends up in a river. So I mean, at least they use it as a boat, eventually. So I mean, it's not that's not bad. But yeah, the actual, I like the whole backstory of the village and how the people came and took the kids and all the crops burned and cattle died and it's pretty haunting stuff to get for the setup of the movie and to kind of kick everything off or whatever. But yeah, that whole village scene is pretty chilling for what it is. As far as it seems pretty authentic to people in a poverty situation, pretty desperate situation.
And they just want to go to Delhi, but he's like, no, we're not going to give you the directions to Delhi. First, you got to go to Bangkok Palace. You got to find
Palace. Yeah,
you got to find these stones, like the Shankara stones or whatever, and bring them back to the village, and then we'll tell you the way to get there or whatever.
Yeah, so it's the side quest, Richie. Your main quest is not complete yet. You must do the side quest. And go
you're not. The game's not 100% complete. You got to do this thing, thing. And then Yeah, it'll tie in. It'll tie in at the end. You got to.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and also I think Short Round almost feels more of an adult than Capshaw's character, because you see him like out in the jungle, they're just playing cards. They just want to just hang out and just have fun. Then you have Kate Capshaw. She's running into snakes and like seeing bugs.
I think it's just I think it's a case of like Short Round has come from a more troubled background. Obviously his parents his parents died, so he's had to maybe grow up with a hard life. And so he's had to mature more. Where it's clear Willie is a more upper class privileged lifestyle. So it's like I don't know, but this is beyond me. I don't want to deal with snakes.
I do think the scene is kind of funny at the campsite when she keeps running back and forth and keep running into various creatures in the jungle and just like freaking out, like literally everywhere she turns. There's a monkey, there's a lizard, there's a bat, there's a whatever, like and she's
bats, vampire bats,
all kinds of stuff. Like I do think that scene, I find it kind of amusing. And then the final gag with like the elephants bugging her the whole time and like trying to grab her, whatever, and then it's actually the snake and she like tosses the snake or whatever. And
and then he's like,
God damn it, snakes. Shit.
But they have one of my favorite shots in the movie though, like right when they get ready to leave their camp, you get like a zoom in like Harrison Ford, like all sweaty, and he looks over at the tree, and there's a bunch of severed fingers, like literally on the tree. But it's like a really cool shot. Like it's kind of like the like epic panning shot of our hero right there.
I'll talk about the epic hero shot later when we get to the the kickoff of the kind of final.
Oh yeah, there's one
near I think it's one
near that too. Yeah.
I forgot to mention when at the start with the Short Round in the car. I did think you like awesome with the pet peeve of when you were talking about a few months ago and talking about pet peeves in movies where Short Round's got the steering wheel, but he's going, he's not like not gonna get it straight, but he's got this and that. But if it was real, the car would be but it's going straight.
Right. That's not how you drive, kid.
Well, but he is driving pretty erratically in the scene though, and running into damn near everything in the marketplace. All the lights and the lanterns and the guy with the rickshaw and all that kind of stuff. So, he's not exactly driving a straight line, anyways. But I mean, they get to. I was going to ask Richie about. I'm sure you've heard about, or at least are familiar with somewhat with the Pancop Palace scene, like the dinner scene with all the crazy shit that they're eating. Like now that you've actually seen it, like what'd you think of that whole sequence? Like where they're actually doing the snake surprise and the bugs and the monkey brains and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was reminded me of like a very it was almost like Fear Factor, but they weren't like
Fear Factor Pancop Palace edition.
But they're willing, they were almost, but it was kind of gross, but all the bugs and speaking of like like Joe Rogan, I guess again I talked about it like last time. I guess it's like when you talked about how he said like we're lucky that those bugs aren't like 10 feet tall or whatever. In other words, we'd be fucked. It was definitely something. It was gross. They're like I mean, with like I've never understood like just as a personal side. I like that with the I don't know. I know they're unpleasant, but like there's a scene like the roaches and stuff like that. Like it does seem. I mean, it is a sort of maybe a stereotype, but like obviously the Cat was like freaked out by roaches and stuff like that. But and I see like some occasionally we'll get roaches here, and then like some of the women will freak out and just like and I'm just like that's gross. There you go.
Just brush them away. Yeah.
Well, when we do that, it's only a couple. Like when you're in a literal room full of them, and there's hundreds of them crawling all over you. That might be.
I mean that would be I don't know. Like I feel like I just like it'd be unpleasant, but I don't know. Just like I don't know. But I think it's but it's definitely unsettling. But I like the way it was shot.
Sure.
Well, we get some pretty goofy stuff with them kind of riding elephants and Willie can't get on the elephant ride. She's backwards and then spraying her with the water and all that stuff. And then you get to the dinner scene. Like that's pretty goofy with her character. And then they're like bringing out like all the different courses. Like oh, it's time for dessert. Monkey brains. And they open up the like monkey head. Or actually like, don't we have any soup? And then they bring in soup and it's got eyeballs in it or something. Yeah, like it's goofy. Like I think that the scene's okay. I'll just say it's not one of my favorite scenes because of the goofiness, but it's not terrible. It's kind of fun, you know.
As an adult, I'm more interested in the conversation that Shangri-La and the Captain Blumberg and Indiana Jones are having about like, you know, they're denying all the stuff about the like the thuggy cult like existing or whatever, and that you know
the thuggies
we wiped them out like a long time ago, and it's like, you know, and you asking about it is kind of like an insult to you know you being here as like a guest or whatever, you know, and like so yeah, that's the kind of stuff you would ignore as a kid, but I think it's a little more interesting, you know, and there's a back and forth where the dude's, you know, talking to Indy, and he's like, weren't you accused of like grave robbing back in Honduras, or didn't like a guy in Madagascar like threaten to cut your hands off, like, you know, like or you know, stealing stuff or whatever, and you know, so there's a good little like back and forth I think between them, you know, those guys, but you know, I think that's almost as kind of goofy as the movie gets, because literally once we're in like the bug cave and, you know, heading towards the Temple of Doom, I think it gets like there's still some silly moments there, you know, with her kind of screaming, you know, back and forth to the bugs. But I do like the actual scene of, you know, when Short Round and Indy are stuck in the you know, the collapsing cave, you know, with the spikes and stuff. Like I do think that scene's pretty fun, pretty tense, you know, for the most part.
And you get the little like there's a little bit of like the whole love thing, like you can't last 5 minutes without me or like whatever. There's that, but then like so you think they're gonna get together and hook up, but then India quickly gets attacked, and like that's where like some of the brutalness kind of starts to ramp up, because you have the guy that comes in and attacks him, and Short Round throws him his whip, and then he whips the guy and then hangs him on the ceiling fan. He's just sitting there like hanging there. It's like, oh, it's like
that's
Spielberg does not give a shit in this movie.
There's just like a few things like that where it's like, man, this is like, yeah,
that's dark real quick.
It's a movie, like, yeah, sure, like if you want to. Yeah, I remember when my dad owned a video store. We had like, I think we had like Indiana Jones in like the family section. But man, you definitely have to watch it as, you know, you wouldn't leave your kid watching it. Hey, yeah, I'm going to bed. Yeah, like no, you get nightmares of the Temple of Doom. So yeah, especially
yeah.
So especially that scene. But yeah, so they definitely stretch that. I feel like they even stretch the PG-13 rating sometimes.
Yeah, right. Well, those spikes coming down, they're like you have like Indy shouting out, "We are going to die! Hurry it up! Like hurry and like fix this thing." And then
that's one of my favorite lines. But also when she's like, "There are 2 dead people down here," he's like, "There are going to be 2 dead people in here. Hurry!"
Yeah, right.
I like that. I like that line. Like, and the back and forth of the Short Round where he's just like, "No, stand against the wall," and then he like stands against the wall and hits another button, and he's just like, "He told me to stand against the wall, damn it!"
Yeah.
I like their whole like back and forth is fun. Like that whole sequence is good. Like I don't mind her like, you know, feeling through the bugs, like trying to grab the lever, and then, you know, it's even a decent comedic beat where she runs in and she's like, "Get the bugs off me," and she bends over and hits this lever again, and they have to run out of the, you know, cave.
Yeah, run out of there.
I think it's a pretty good sequence. Like it's one of the Spielberg things. He's able to kind of you know, do the tense stuff, but have a couple of comedic moments here and there, but, you know, still make it serious. Like I think the whole sequence is pretty solid, like what it is.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
And you get what Steven Spielberg said as one of his favorite scenes in any Indiana Jones movie, where they barely make it under the doorway, and they have to reach back for his hat, and he grabs it just in the nick of time. His hat, I like every time. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But then we get to the centerpiece of the movie, I think, and one of a scene that's become one of my favorite cinema scenes ever. You know, the actual, you know, when we get excuse me, to the Temple of Doom, and the actual, as we kind of alluded to, the human sacrifice scene, you know, with the heart ripping and all that. And like, I love the whole setup of it. I think that set is gnarly for one thing. Like that whole set, you know, with like the lava river in the middle and like the thing that opens up to lower them down, and like the actual kind of cage that the person's put in, and like the actual statue with like chains coming out of it. Like I love just the whole set design of it, and then the actual music is awesome. The dum, 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 like and all the chanting and like Om Nam Shivaya, Om Nam Shivaya, like the whole sequence from start to finish, I think is so like insane. Like that sequence is nuts for like an Indiana Jones movie. It's one of the gnarliest scenes like in the whole series. Like I think
it definitely had like it did have like a Mad Max like dystopian sort of thing to it, where like these sort of crazy ritual type. It was just, I don't know, and then you go into that, like, what kind of weird production did I stumble in on?
Right.
I just wasn't expecting like something that gnarly to come out. I'm like, what? Holy hell! What the?
And then your main villain doesn't show up till an hour in with Molaram. Like there he is. Like, and we haven't really seen him like at all. But it's a hell of an introduction, where he comes in and he somehow gains like magical powers to rip a dude's heart out, and he's still alive. And then they lower
and he's still alive still.
And he gets
because
burned up.
And it also shows the range of John Williams, because I looked into it. Like John Williams composed everything, so he did the chanting, the drums, all of that stuff. That's all John Williams doing. Yeah. So like he's not just like an orchestra guy; he does all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
No, I think that whole sequence, start to finish, is insane. But like, it's amazing. And apparently, George Lucas had something to do with the story stuff, and he was going through a divorce at the time. So like, that's why that movie gets pretty brutal at times. I think he was in a kind of a foul mood, which I understand. I get it. But I mean that whole thing, start to finish, and then they kind of, it's the kickoff to again some more kind of darker stuff with them getting captured and Indy drinking the blood of the Kali and like getting whipped, and like this is some dark shit, man. I like the lighting of it. It's all red and just brown. And,
it's some dark stuff. Like even when they like lower the guy down into the lava too, like it isn't just like go into the lava, like his freaking head explodes and like he's on fire, and like it's a whole thing when he like goes in there. Like
I said, and Molaram like has the heart in his hand and it sets on fire, and he's still chanting. It's awesome. Crazy. Like I love that shit. Like it's so great. That's what makes this movie like. It's so, I don't know how you can say that stuff is bad. This whole sequence is amazing. Like from a,
and they also have a voodoo doll that shows up too. They got that. It's like there's a lot of stuff.
Maharaja and the voodoo doll with the fight sequence later. That whole thing is great. I want a prop. I think they sell props of that online. I want to get a prop of that voodoo doll, the Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I noticed it. I don't necessarily in this scene, but I noticed they used the Wilhelm scream a few times.
I think one of the guys gets back body dropped into the lava, and you hear the scream, once. And, something else.
Then on the bridge, I heard it at least once or twice.
Oh no, they get some mileage out of that, but no, I mean you get like the pretty gnarly shit where like Indy gets possessed for a little while, like by the black blood, and like they're about to sacrifice Kate Capshaw. To be fair, and her screaming during that scene is completely justified.
Yeah, it's justified. Like if she was just like, that'd be a bit weird. I
would probably be screaming like a girl too if I was about to be lowered into a lava pit. Yeah, I would probably be screaming too. That would probably not be very pleasant. But I mean, all that stuff is fun. And then Short Round coming in to make the save and like kicking ass like next to Indy, like all that stuff is great. And I mean, and pretty much like from that scene on, it's like 40, like I said, it's like 45 minutes of like a straight action sequence all the way to the finale. I mean, this movie moves. Like I think this movie moves. The pacing of this movie is pretty steady throughout the movie, but man, that last 45 minutes is like relentless as far as the pacing goes.
Even if you show this to a kid, hey, mom, why are those kids chained up? Or they've been forced to work? Oh, are kids forced to work in other countries? Yes. How do you think your iPhone got made? Anyway,
right. I think your shoes got made.
Slaves, sweatshops,
But yeah, so yeah, but yeah, the scene where like he's just escaping that, and then he like swings over like well, yeah, like that's he climbs up the ladder, then
he rides the ladder over to the rope, and then grabs the rope and climbs up the rope. Like Short Round's a little
like on the scaffolding.
He's awesome.
He's that's great. Awesome. But that's awesome. But yeah,
and also Short Round has to. In order to wake him up, he has to burn him with fire to wake him up, and so that's what wakes him up. Yeah, he does it to Indy, and then he eventually does it to that like Prince or whatever the
kid,
the voodoo doll.
Well, and that scene was that was actually set up how Short Round figured that out in a deleted sort of thing that was scripted and sort of filmed a little bit, but they never used it because I was watching a video today about sort of. They called it like the lost version of Temple of Doom, but really it was just an explanation of some stuff that was in the script or the comics and things that never made it into the movie. But there was a sequence where while he was chained up, while Short Round was chained up, hammering the rocks or whatever, there was a guy who got burned by like a steam thing opened up like in the rocks, and like a bit of like the lava stuff that got on his leg and burned him. And he goes over to him and he kind of snaps out of his like sort of haze or whatever, like the guard does, and he kind of figures it out. So that's why he like grabs the torch later and is able to use it. It's not just kind of out of nowhere. It was actually somewhat set up in a sequence they didn't film, but I think it comes off okay anyways. You know what I mean? And he's defending himself with the torch regardless. So it's stuff that's not needed, but it's there, or was there at one point.
Yeah, but and then sort of does that lead into the this thing in the coal mine,
Well, yeah, I mean that directly leads into when he's like, Short Round rescues him, and they snap out of it, and he goes, she's like, "Let's get out of here," and he goes, "Right, all of us." And it cuts to my favorite shot of the entire movie when you're hitting the newer music that John Williams does for this movie. They roll up the mine cart, and you see Indy standing there at the end of like the row, and then they roll up the light, and the light shines on Indy, and he's just standing there like a badass, just ready to whoop some ass. And he whoops that dude, and the dude slides, a couple of punches, dude slides. Like it's one of my favorite like moments of just Indy just standing there ready to like whoop everybody's ass. Like it's awesome.
Right.
Like, I love
it. Yeah. It's pretty great. Yeah. And don't forget that he has to fight another big guy, and like every Indiana Jones movie, he has to fight another big guy.
Same guy, Pat Roach from the first
movie.
Yeah,
so he fights him, and then by the end of it, he literally goes under like a steamroller, almost like kind of like contractor thing, and like it's flat, and you see the blood like all over it too.
Well, and just a couple of quick notes. Richie, did you notice that Indy tried to throw a drop kick? Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that.
He goes for the sledgehammer at first, and then he throws a literal drop kick to Pat Roach and tries to do that. But like, it's a great back and forth fight. I love that fight because like, Indy gets the upper hand on him, but then the Maharaja like using the voodoo doll to kind of get the advantage, and dude's beating up on him. But it's like back and forth. Every time Indy snaps out of it, he gets the advantage again. Like, and they're on the conveyor belt, and like it's a great thing that Spielberg does again with the tension and kind of the cuts back and forth from Short Round and the Maharaja like to the big dude and Indy, back and forth on the conveyor belt, and Short Round again kicking ass. Like he gets into action and notices what's going on and jumps into action and gets up there and whoops the Maharaja's ass like and saves the day. Like it's awesome. I will defend Short Round to the end. Short Round is a man of action. He's the man. He's awesome.
There was a funny scene where like where they cut back and forth where like Indy's kicking ass and then Short Round's kicking ass and then like Willie's just like
it's like but even she hands him like the little like gas can thing that like kind of drops him down a second. Like she's trying to help out. She's throwing rocks and she's not doing a lot, but like she's at least like she's not just standing there screaming, like she's at least at that point, like she's ready to get the fuck out of there. So like she's ready to like, she's doing what she can, which is like she can't do a lot, but she's not, getting directly involved with the fight. But she's doing what she can. Man. Like I don't mind it.
And even when they're on the cart or whatever, and then she says anyway, punches them in the face. It was almost like that they were like, she surprised herself, like they were reflexes.
Oh yeah.
It was just an instinctual reflex. I was like, oh,
yeah. No, because Indy ducks down and the guy kind of like lunges towards her and she's just like had enough of it, so she just like punches the guy. It's like, stop! I've had enough of this. Like, get out of here. Like, I get it. It's a fun little sequence. Yeah, the whole minecart sequence, even stuff before that, where because it's Vic Armstrong again, the same stunt guy who looks exactly like Harrison Ford. By the way, if you look up production stills of like back then, they put him in the outfit. He looks exactly like Harrison Ford, but he's swinging around on the lamps and he's back and forth on the scaffolds above, and then he swings, does the long swing onto the minecart. Like some great stunt work again, back and forth in this thing.
That's
like
awesome.
He did most of the fight scene.
Yeah. And I'm still not even sure what the Shankara stones do, because he has to grab them, and I guess they light up, and like that what puts them into the trance, or like what? Well, I don't even know what they do. What the point of them?
It's all like, magic, bro. It's all voodoo magic.
Yeah, it's all voodoo stuff.
It's all voodoo, magic where some of it is real, because I mean, it's it does give him somehow. Molar the ability to rip a guy's heart out and him still be alive. So like it's somewhat real. There is voodoo magic there, and the voodoo thing is working with the voodoo doll and the Kali blood does kind of put him under a trance or whatever. So I mean it does work. But as far as the power of the Shankara stones, it's just kind of a I think it's more of a symbol than anything, and it's the classic like. They pray to Kali, kind of the evil god, like the Satan, if you will, and the other ones pray to Shiva, which is kind of like God, the good god or whatever. So I mean, it's a battle of good and evil, like literally with Shiva and Kali. So
in short round, like telling the Maharaja, you're under the like black
Kali,
the black sleep of Kali, like wake up, and then right before they go on the minecart, to like make sure that. You absolutely go left when you're on the minecart. Go left, but you'll find out they don't.
Left. The sequence of the break. I love the sequence of the break doesn't work, and then so he has to he stops it with with himself. Like he gets in and just stops it, and it looks cool. And then like obviously his shoe catches on fire or whatever.
But
water,
it would burn
water,
right through your shoe. Come on.
And then we cut to water. A lot of
water.
Water.
Yeah, but that minecart scene though is incredible. Like with all the guys shooting at him and like jumping back and forth. Like it's a really, really cool scene.
You got guys like jumping from the upper cart down to the lower one. Again, it's good stunt work.
Yeah.
Dudes like do these crazy jumps, and there's a really obvious kind of bad special effect though when they're kind of pulling back and forth on short round between the two carts above the the gap or whatever, and there's like a really obvious like mannequin doll they're pulling back and forth. On my 4K, it was very obvious when I was watching it back today. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of moments like that. The original guy who gets sacrificed, like when he gets right near the fire, like it's an animatronic doll just kind of shaking his head back and forth. But obviously, you're not gonna throw a real guy on fire. Like I get it, but that whole minecart sequence again, the way it's lit with just all the red and like it's completely fantastical and over the top, but like these movies are essentially a fantasy adventure movie, so like who cares, like I'm fine with that because it's insane, but it's great.
So like when they make it through like the whole minecart scene, and at the end when the water bursts out of the mountain and they have to like jump on the edge of the rocks and they have to hang on to it, and then just keep bursting out over and over and over. They can only hang on for so long, but it's a pretty like intense kind of cool scene how they did that.
Well, and a lot of it is, if you'll notice that a lot of these movies, they have like the big action sequence where Indy is doing fighting or some kind of action, and then the last sequence of a lot of these movies, and you'll see this again, Richie, with Last Crusade, is like there's a big action sequence and then kind of a more sort of not like quiet scene per se, but one where he has to use more of his brains than his brawn, and so that's like what leads to the bridge sequence, the actual like suspension bridge, where he's kind of has to outsmart everybody, as to far as like what to do with the bridge, and he's still doing some action, here and there, but like it's more of him outsmarting everybody. But yeah, when I just like the little moment where he's on the bridge and he's starting to get surrounded and he just looks back and forth, and it's a total like almost Han Solo moment where he just it's like
So like,
he just goes, shit.
Yeah.
He goes, oh shit.
Yeah.
Just like, what the hell do I do now? I'm out of ideas. Like, it's pretty great.
Yeah, when they first,
I mean, you would be. I mean, again, it's probably justified because you would be scared, but like, I don't think Willie helps the situation here by going, what do you got? Oh god, oh no, I'm just
behind you.
I'm trying to
behind you.
I get it. I
understand. I see them. I know they're there.
Yeah. Well, when they first show up to the bridge too, and like Willie's like scared, then Short Round, he's like, see, it's a very strong bridge. See, and he's like jumping up and down, very strong. It's like,
and then he falls through.
Like, whoa, kid, just like, hold on a minute, and he almost falls through. Yeah.
But yeah, the actual thing when he finally like cuts the bridge and he tells Short Round, in Chinese to like hang on or whatever, and yeah, he actually cuts it, and even Molarum's just like, "What are you doing, you fool!" Like, oh my god, like you're an idiot, and they cut the bridge. Like that whole sequence is awesome too, because everybody's falling into the river with the crocodiles and getting ripped apart, and there's more dudes that fall when it hits the rocks, and then Molaram even grabs a guy and just like throws him at Indy like it's awesome.
Sacrifices
it's like you hit him and no, like it's great, man. There's dudes firing, again the escalation. He's getting shot at by bows and arrows over from the other side, and there's the mini sequence where Molaram tries to pull out his heart like right in the middle of it.
Short Round's like, no, protect your heart.
Cover the heart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I really like the relationship between Short Round and Indiana Jones, because you can see a Short Round really cares about him. I almost sees him as like a father figure in like some ways, because like when he goes to save him back in the like temple, like he's like Indy, I love you, and then he like hugs, and they have like a sweet little moment where they hug each other and stuff. So like I think that's kind of cool that they have that kind of bond,
Yeah, I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but I really hope there's a Short Round cameo in Dial of Destiny. Like, I don't know.
Awesome.
I don't know if there is, but I think there's something special about that relationship, even more than some of the other ones like throughout the movies. Where I think they have a bond like that. I wish they'd continued a little bit more.
I saw a photo. I just got sent a photo just before Kiyu Kwan did show up at the Dial of Destiny premiere, the red carpet premiere.
Right.
So
I mean, maybe he is. I hope so, because like for him to share one more hug, I think would be a nice like full circle moment, or something. So, because we never really find out what happens to him afterwards. Because again, since it's a prequel, a year later, Short Round's not around, at the university. I don't know if he got adopted by somebody or who knows. What I mean? But he's still a kid, so he could have been like adopted by a family somewhere or something like that, or
maybe they'll answer some questions. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, that bridge sequence is cool. The British people kind of saved the day, and I even just like sentimentally the whole, when all the kids kind of return to the village, and John Williams kicks in the Indiana Jones music, and it's him saving the day. I mean, it's good stuff, man. Like that's classic like Spielberg filmmaking. With him and John Williams like doing their thing and making kind of like a cool moment. I even like that stuff. It's fun.
Seeing the parents reunited with their children and all that stuff. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good, man. So I mean it's definitely the black sheep of the indie series as far as again how crazy it gets and how dark it gets in some points. But that's kind of why I like it so much, is because it's like you watch you watch Raiders and Last Crusade, and you'll see this Richie, how they kind of sort of, you could do like a double of those and they feel very similar, and then this one is just batshit crazy. And I kind of like how kind of batshit crazy it is, but it's still Indiana Jones.
I guess like it's sort of this happens in movies sometimes where it felt like Willie and Indy at the end just shared a romantic moment just to share a romantic moment. I guess like you would become closer if someone saved your life multiple times, but like I didn't feel like throughout the movie there was any like romantic sort of chemistry or even like with that. So but they wanted it to happen anyway. But they don't explain. I guess like I'm like, man, maybe he realized between then and Raiders, I was like, like getting into a relationship with this person is going to be hard work. She
even says it when she's like, I have no more adventures with you, Dr. Jones. I'm not going to get my heart, ripped out. I'm going back to Missouri where they don't rip out your heart and, you don't eat eyeball soup and, whatever. Like, it's 100% believable that she would go back to the United States and settle down back in like American civilization and being like, I'm not doing any more globetrotting ever. Like I would totally believe that as far as her character, that as a relationship would never work out. It's more of like like an infatuation of like he's the bad boy who saved her life. You know what I mean? Like so they would have a fling, but like it wouldn't last very long, which I totally buy. Like she's not there in Raiders. I think it makes total sense. There's no way she would be with him.
But it's quite funny. Like she initially rejects it. He goes like, no, take me to New Delhi, and he's just like, whoosh. His leg
back. It's like, no, you can't do that. We got to have sex first before you leave.
But it leads to the epic final shot that so many movies have, just like a kiss at the end. The final shot. So I got that there. So.
But again, I it's fine, and again, at least it's. It's on location in Sri Lanka. It's not in India, but it's in Sri Lanka. You have hundreds of extras in the background and your main stars, and the music's kicking on, and it's practical filmmaking, old school filmmaking, which I like. There's a lot of people, and real locations and things and real sets. And again, I just even appreciate, man, we didn't even really appreciate like the actual, like not even the minecart set, but like even the set where they have the fight on like the conveyor belt and that whole like cave or whatever in the mining area, like that's a real set. That's awesome. Like that's
awesome.
Insane, like giant set. Like these things are ridiculous. Like, I appreciate that more and more as I see more Marvel movies. Not to pick on Marvel again, but like more Marvel movies with just green screen backgrounds, And I go back and watch these movies and I'm like, how can you not like this when they show the sacrificial chamber and you look at that set and go, God damn, like look at all that stuff, man. That's awesome. Look at that detail. Look at that Kali statue with the chains coming out. Like that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, it's great.
We'll see if in the next movie, the Dial of Destiny, how much practical sets or the things that they use, or if they go way more digital. Like I don't know. We'll see, but.
Yeah, because Crystal Skull went a lot more digital. Like Richie, if you do get curious and you do watch it, which you probably will, just as a completist,
I'll probably watch them. I'll probably watch them opposite. I'll probably watch Dial of Destiny and then go back.
And go back and watch Crystal. Yeah, because like I said, you could probably read the Wikipedia page of Crystal Skull as far as like what some of the stuff that's happened. Because there is a key thing about him and Marion, that happens in that movie that you could probably at least read about. But yeah, it's like I appreciate this more and more as I get older, just from a filmmaking standpoint. And like I'll stand by that. It's some of the best action that lasts 40-45 minutes that Spielberg's ever done. Like period. I think that whole it's just nonstop, like just relentless. For that last thing, I love that fight scene. I love the minecart scene. And yeah, I don't even, and I even like just the mythology of the Shiva and the Kali stuff. Like I dig it because it's different than, with Raiders, it's the classic like God, and it's Christian mythology, when we get into some kind of Hindu, mythology sort of stuff, which I appreciate. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, because I appreciate Temple of Doom because it's so different than any of the other movies. That and one of the things, like why Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of my favorites, is just fighting Nazis and just beating the hell out of Nazis, which we'll get some more of when we get back to Last Crusade. But on this one, they really don't. They really are just like in India, almost essentially in like a one location, basically. I mean, they're kind of moving a little bit, but for the most part, it's just like on this mountainside, and that's like where most of it takes place, So yeah, but they're not really fighting Nazis like the normal way, but it actually really works still. So.
So Richie, kind of your wrapping up thoughts or anything else you want to hit on about the movie?
I thought this like those who say it's a bad movie, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's a really good movie. I probably, as an overall movie, I probably like Raiders a bit more, but as an action, like in terms of action set pieces and action scenes, I think this tops Raiders for me in terms of action. But yeah, as an overall movie, it Raiders a bit better. But and then I did find Kate and the cat show annoying, but not like it was. I'm sure maybe repeat viewings it won't it's just because I was new to it. I'm sure repeat viewings it'll be kind of it'll not wear me as much. So Yeah, but it was still a really good movie, and a very different movie. Yeah, I could honestly, I could probably, as it's a prequel, I could, in theory, it's good to do it in chronological order, but I mean, like in like in terms of release date. But yeah, in theory, I could have watched this and then that one. Yeah, but yeah, it is good to watch it in sort of when they came out. But yeah, I really liked it, and the minecart scene it was a really good action scene. It's one of my favorite action scenes I've seen in quite a while. Probably, and then the bridge scene. I knew about the bridge scene going in, but yeah, that's great. Yeah, so I think in terms of action, it tops Raiders, but in overall movie, it's just a bit below, but it's still very good. So yeah,
no, totally.
Yeah. And I was just gonna shout out too. We got shout out Backtrack Cinema. He says that it's his favorite movie of the series.
Hey,
So
I get it.
That's really like it.
Ask me and I've said this before. Ask me as a kid, I would probably say Temple of Doom was my favorite. Ask me as kind of a 20-year-old, Raiders was my favorite. Currently, like Last Crusade is my favorite. It may depend on like your stage in life, your life experience, and we'll talk about why. One of the reasons why Last Crusade is my personal favorite, and we'll get to that when we get to Last Crusade, obviously, on the next episode. But yeah, no, it's no slight against Temple of Doom. I think this movie rocks. This movie, I get excited for it every time I watch it. I think it's a uniqueness and a creativity about this movie that I really appreciate every time I see it. And yeah, I don't mind that it's it feels like an indie movie, but just in kind of these different locations. And yeah, it's something a bit different. So I appreciate it. I like it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. For me, I'd say that this is probably my second favorite. I mean, they're all just neck and neck though. Like
it's like saying like this one's here and the other one's here and here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's very minuscule. Yeah. No, totally.
It's like splitting hairs, basically. Yeah, but yeah, like I have a lot of fun. I love the short round character. I'm a big Ke Huy Quan fan. Like I love the Goonies. I love him in that movie. I wish we could have seen him do more, but hopefully now as an adult we'll get a lot of him because he seems to be pretty popular now. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But for me, like you guys don't really have to really rate it or anything. Like I just like to kind of rate it for fun. Like for like Raiders, like that movie's like a near perfect movie for me. That movie might be a 10 out of 10 for me. That movie is like that. Sure.
I would agree.
Good, but for Temple of Doom, it's probably about a 7.5 out of 10. Like it's still really, really good, really fun, really awesome, but it doesn't quite hit the level of a Raiders, but it's still great. So yeah.
No, it's like an 8.5, like for me, because again, the worst thing is Kate Capshaw, but at the same time, I could make the argument that you don't see a lot of damsel in distresses anymore. Every character you see that's female nowadays is like has to be the kick-ass character. Yeah, the strong the strong female character, and so like, and she's strong when she needs to be, and it's kind of there's a lost art to being a really effective damsel in distress, which there's nothing wrong with that, like in the right context. And then remember, this is in the context of what these movies are based on, which is those classic adventure like kind of movies from the 30s and 40s. So that's sort of what it was back then, and I'm okay. And I think in that aspect, Kate Capshaw is fine. And again, I think she still has a character arc where she gets a little stronger by the end, to where she's not putting up with the shit anymore, and she also, I think it fits her character that comes from a privileged background. She's experienced an adventure that she's never been on before, as opposed to Indy, who's used to all this stuff, So I think it fits the character. So while she may be the weakest of the three, as far as the trilogy women is concerned, it doesn't hurt it that much, but it's just enough to knock it down a little bit. But yeah, like under Raiders and Last Crusade. But again, it doesn't mean I think it's a bad movie at all. I still think it's a pretty great movie.
Yeah, and like I think that the Willie character, it kind of harkens back to, for me, like a Maid Marian or something from like maybe Robin Hood or something like that, where it's like an adventurer and then you have the classic damsel in distress. Because yeah, you're right, we haven't really seen like that. I mean, the only other like modern one I really think it was like a Mary Jane from Spider-Man or something like that. That's like the damsel in distress, but we don't really see a lot of them anymore because they're always a strong female character that has to hold their own every time. So
Yeah, or as we might see in Dial of Destiny, is better than the hero, which I'm afraid of.
Yeah,
Does
right.
everything better than our main protagonist. So we'll see in a couple of weeks. But
Yeah, I'm a little worried. We'll see.
yeah, but yeah, Richie,
But,
you don't have to like rank them right now. I know you're still fairly new to the series. You know what I mean? And maybe like once you see Last Crusade, you can kind of maybe give us like what was your favorite of the three or whatever kind of ranking of the three
Yeah.
overall. But yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, like probably at the moment Raiders is up there, but and then Temple of Doom would be just below it. But yeah, I'll give you a proper ranking when I've seen Last Crusade. But yeah, there's still two very good movies. So
Sure.
I could see how people flip flop or say one's a bit Temple of Doom is better than the other. So yeah, yeah. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I'm even kind of looking forward to getting into they just dropped the Young Indiana Jones series on Disney Plus. So probably after this, I'll wait till we get through all these Indiana Jones movies. But I might kind of dive into that because I remember watching those as a kid, and those were fun too. They're nowhere near on the level of any of these movies, but they're fun, So yeah. But
so will we have to wait maybe about 2 weeks to jump into Last Crusade because of the tournament fight schedule next week, or what? What are you thinking?
I mean, we can kind of see like well. I'll have to let you know because probably we might end up doing it on a different day. We could wait 2 weeks, or we can kind of see what you guys think. We could do it on a weekend, possibly. It just depends what works for you guys. So just keep in touch with our social media, which we'll tell you all of that here in a little bit. It's all in the description though, and we'll announce when we're going to do it. But it'll be sometime within the next 2 weeks for sure. So just watch for that. So yeah.
We'll all confer with each other and see whenever Richie gets around to watching it, and we all kind of watch it, and then we'll reconvene for what should have been the Last Crusade. I'll just say it right now. For Indiana Jones, what should have been the last ride.
The last
how
one.
The movie ends. Yeah, and yeah, we'll get into my current personal favorite of the series with Last Crusade, and I just think that movie's really, really great, but we'll talk about why it is when we get there. I'm looking forward to Richie seeing it because, it's my favorite of the series. So you still got good things to come, Richie. Another great movie is still in line, I promise you. It's really good.
So. Yeah, but why it could have been The Last Crusade is it ends perfectly. I won't say what it is, anything else.
Yeah, it has like a perfect ending.
It is a perfect ending, though. So, so yeah, but I think that'll do it for us tonight. Yeah, it's been a fun time kind of getting back into these movies. I could watch these movies over and over again. So I'll look for any excuse to go back and talk about them. So yeah, but yeah, we'll just do some plugs really quick and that'll do it. So we'll start with Richie. Where can we find you? What do you have coming up?
And Richie, thanks again for watching the movie and participating with us in this trilogy.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
That's all right, man.
Again, I'm sorry. I get kind of jealous that you get to see these for the first time to see your first impressions of it. Like it's pretty cool.
I've been enjoying it, so I'm looking forward to Last Crusade, and so you can find me obviously here. Tournament fights, tier ranker. I think the next tier ranker is on. It'll be best dads, movie dads. So it's fun. My podcast, telling us streaming. Like we haven't done it stuff for a couple of weeks just because it's been a bit busy. But we'll think the next one. I think the next episode coming up is Chopping Mall, so we'll drop that when we can. So yeah, and and then other than that, wrestling trivia on Jordan's channel and combat wrestling trivia, and debates coming up, and and then you can see my dog making cameos with a mushroom head.
I know. Poor Abby got to wear the cone for a couple of days. Yeah.
She wear for 10 days. That's
10 days, man. That's really annoying. If I was the dog, I'd be like, when the hell can I take this damn thing off now? I'm like, come on. I expect me to sleep with this thing.
That sucks. Yeah, there's no way I can sleep with a cone around my neck. That's
and my dog, years ago, the one that passed away, Melanie, but yeah, she had she had kind of a similar thing where she had to wear one for like 4 days after she had a surgery to on her eye to like she had like a growth on her eye that it had cut out, but they had to put the cone on her so she didn't like wipe her eyes with their paws and stuff like that. I always feel bad for the dogs. Like, can you imagine if you were as a person, if you had to like wear a stupid cone like walking around like that so you didn't touch your eyes? Like, it'd be so weird.
And I feel bad because I laugh at her when she like runs to the doors and shit. There's like just no spatial awareness, so it's like
yeah.
Well, sadly, dogs can't understand that. Like, don't play with your open wound. Don't touch it.
Yeah, I know a doctor can like tell us that and we can get it, but it's you have to do what you got to do.
Don't jump up and down and don't run around the house. You might open up your stitches.
Right. But well, Austin, what do you have coming up?
Yeah, I've got some stuff. Richie and I will be on Lonely Marks.
Lonely Marks,
We're on Movie Hero. We'll be reviewing his prediction pick of the MLW Battle Riot 2023, which I will watch tomorrow morning. I just need to get some sleep. I've had a very long week. But once I'm refreshed in the morning, probably while I'm eating breakfast, I will watch the Battle Riot. And then before I go see The Flash tomorrow. And then I'll be on the Tier Ranker Movie Dads. Jacob and I actually bumped up our next podcast about movies episode. We'll do that this Saturday night because we're just doing another one of our the third edition of our blind ranking wheel episodes, where we each have a wheel of 30 movies and we blind rank them 1 through 20, without knowing what's coming next. So those are always really fun. So we're going to do one of those episodes, our third one of those. Those are always a good time. Yeah. I'll be on Malcolm Lay's Rankum.
Oh, we too.
Richie will be on there also. Yeah, we'll both be on there talking about movies based on real products or company or the making of products, companies, or movies, essentially. So that should be interesting. I've got a nice list for that one, and there might even be some recent movies on there. And
I think I know what might be end up being number one, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Yeah, there could be some contenders, but Movie Battleground. Aaron finally uploaded over on TMG Entertainment, and you can see some links to it on the Schmodown Friends and Family group. My title match with Amaru Moses is up there in 2 parts, so if you haven't checked that out yet, it's a definite match of the year candidate. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to check that out for sure. Put it on in the background while I'm like prepping.
Oh no, totally. It's something you can definitely listen to it. It's fine.
Yeah.
yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah, but just a couple things we have in the immediate future. Yeah, we mentioned the best movie dads that's coming up on Friday we're doing it for Father's Day since it's this weekend. And then next week we're doing movies of 2011. So we're going to talk about all the best movies of 2011. It'll be a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll be part 1, part 2, and then a half bracket for the championship on Friday. And we'll eventually get to 2008. We can talk about Crystal Skull. So, I mean, you don't have to watch it for.
I guess Richie, if you watch it anyways, then you can talk about it on the 2008 show when we get.
You watch it for that one.
Yeah. All right.
It'll be in there.
Yeah. So that'll be in like.
And then when we eventually get to 1989 and 1984 and 1981, 10 years from now, we'll talk about all these Indiana Jones movies again. So
yeah. Yeah, but the 2008 will be about 3 months from now, so that'll be soon. So got a little time, but and then we'll be doing some more trivia. If you didn't play on our last Seen and Heard movie trivia, we'll be doing it a week from this Sunday, because we obviously don't want to do it on a Father's Day, but we'll do it on a week from this Sunday. So if you think you can take down our current champion Ryan Permerson, then just let me know, because not all the spots are filled up. We got a couple filled, but not all of them yet. So yeah, just let me know. But and then also too,
I can do it.
Yeah. If you want to do it,
Well, and now that I've taken my week off, I can come back and take down Ryan Permerson.
Yeah, right. You can be on it too. You can both be on it, because we weren't on the last one. So
take my crown back, damn it.
Yeah, but and also, just if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it really helps us out if you can subscribe, please and thank you. That's probably like the biggest thing you can do to help us out. We have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/moviehero, I won't get into it too much here. You can hear more about it after a tournament fights episode, but we do all kinds of of cool podcasts. You get an extended look at our schedule that's not released to anyone but the members of the Patreon. If you want to sign up for early episodes and get first dibs on some of those. So yeah, patreon.com/movie hero, and we put all the money that we make right back into the channel, and then we also do some giveaways from time to time. I give away my one sheet movie posters from my time working in the movie theater. So yeah, it's good stuff. So we appreciate it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us tonight. So that was a fun time. I'll get the little outro here. Yeah, but yeah. So for Richie, for Austin, I've been Jordan, the movie hero Anderson, and we will see you next time.